Welcome to Chat Are We Cooked, the podcast where we talk about how on-chain gaming is in fact not cooked. I'm your host Mareike, aka Shadowfax, and I do gaming stuff at Starkware and run the SNG Archive, a media outlet for all things Starknet gaming. Now, today's guest is a streamer, on-chain gamer, and tireless community builder. You've seen her grinding in Nifty Island, Avegochi, Chronoforge, and now Eternum. She shows up, puts in the work, and isn't afraid to call out industry bullshit when needed. Eliza, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. Really excited for our conversation today.
Before we get into the serious stuff, let's kick things off with a rapid fire round to warm things up and for the audience to get to know you. So this means I'll throw some non-crypto or gaming related this or that questions at you, and there's only one rule, which is gut answers only.
Okay, yeah, that's easy for me.
Optimist or realist?
Optimist,
Overthinker or gut feeling decider?
gut feeling decider.
Send a voice note or just text?
Send a voice note.
First to arrive or last minute dash?
Last minute dash, yeah.
Now, shifting gears a little bit, you've been deep in on-chain gaming, playing, streaming, and building community. Very open question to start off. From where you sit, where are we actually with on-chain gaming right now?
Yeah, good question. I would say since I joined, the spectrum has broadened.
Mhm.
So when I first joined, we had fully on-chain gaming with games like Dark Forest,
Mm.
where like literally every single move is on chain. So like yeah, really far along, like let's say the left side of the spectrum. And then there were games like Axie Infinity, which were more, I'd say like in the middle or more to the right, where you basically have a game and then you have elements in the game that are NFTs, and then you also have a token implemented. Actually, it's more towards the left. And now we have games like Off the Grid, where it's literally like a, where you like it resembles a triple A game, but you can also mint items on the on chain, which is pretty big.
Yeah.
And you'll have to fact check me on this, but I don't think you can yet trade items with the token. So it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's quite far on the other side of the spectrum. So I think yeah, this spectrum keeps kind of broadening and we see a lot of different types of games pop up. So yeah, the way I see it, we're still pretty much in the infancy stage, like we're still in the experimentation stage. And I think the industry is maturing, like comparing this cycle and last cycle. Last cycle was very much purely hype.
Yes.
Gaming was like the new narrative. So we saw just the craziest numbers in terms of like raises and stuff.
Mm.
And yeah, right now we're pretty much seeing like a stark awakening because so many of these teams just haven't delivered anything or like they haven't achieved anything. So yeah, there's like way less investment in the industry, but I think it's good because the real builders are like, bootstrapped. Like all the best builders I know are bootstrapped, probably haven't raised from any VCs, and yeah, really forced to just like experiment.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. As you said, a year ago, it was very like speculative and people were just talking a lot. And now we've come to the point where we see which teams also walk the talk that they were doing a year ago, and it really crystallizes who's in it for the long run. What's still frustrating or holding the space back, even though it has very positive momentum at the moment?
Honestly, I think there's a lot of external factors. So for quite a while, there was the whole App Store issue for mobile games.
Mm.
That has now kind of been lifted. It's probably going to take time for us to see the impacts of it. Basically, you had to pay taxes to the App Store, like if
Yeah.
you did in-app purchases, and like you had to pay extra taxes even if you were like bringing users outside of the app. So for crypto apps, it just didn't make sense. You get taxed like everywhere. Um, and now this is not the case. So actually now we might see developers actually using crypto and NFTs
Mhm.
to be able to evade, let's say, that tax, because now basically any purchases made outside of the app, like when it sends you to browser, that won't be taxed by Apple.
That's interesting.
Um, yeah, and Epic Games, so Tim Sweeney, he's also building his own app store now. So we're seeing a lot of innovation like at the mobile level, and that was like one of the key issues I was seeing like in the gaming industry as a whole, because we can't forget that we are still a niche, but we're in gaming, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah. So what happens in the gaming industry at large really matters. And right now, we're in a plateau in the gaming industry. We're not in growth at all. And there's like quite a
Mhm.
few growth levers that we need to that need to kind of start moving for us to be in a growth phase. But right now we're not in growth phase.
And beforehand, I liked that you were using this left-right kind of explanation to where on-chain games are right now. And I've also heard of this narrative where on-chain games are either just gamified DeFi or tech demos. So it's either highly technical and people
Mm.
celebrate that, or it's like, as you said, more of a Web2 approach that integrates crypto components. Now on Starknet, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but on Starknet, we have games like Eternum and many other that are actually pushing for new mechanics, new fully on-chain mechanics, like,
Yep.
autonomous worlds, AI agent, emergent gameplay. And why do you think that the spotlight currently still lands mostly on Web2 with crypto models instead?
Honestly, I think there's so many different communities right now and they're all pretty fragmented. I would agree. Fully on-chain gaming is definitely the smallest niche, I would say. Probably because there's less marketing around it, to be honest with you. Like, since maybe the barrier to entry in terms of like um understanding or accessibility, maybe the barrier is a bit higher, which means that it's less easy to perhaps make content around it, or it's just less easy for users to get it straight away.
Yeah.
But this could also be a perception issue because so Dark Forest, let's take that for an example. I was helping them with marketing at some point. Um, Dark Forest DAO, so it was like a DAO that really liked playing Dark Forest and they just wanted more players. And I was like, okay, like I'll create guides for you. So I created guides, and I think that's one of the main things is like these games are actually not difficult, but that barrier to entry and
Yeah.
the way they're perceived is like, damn, like this is gonna be
Yeah.
taking me just to understand, and people want quick experiences. I think there will definitely be a lot more coverage and also just an ease of like attracting users once we see these type of games like for example on mobile
Mhm.
or like even just prize pools like if there's prize pools or incentives users are more likely to go the extra mile or if their favorite creators are playing it same thing more likely to go the extra mile so I don't think there's like one reason.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We've kind of observed that, especially in crypto Twitter, there are very isolated bubbles that like communities move in, and I'd say the Starknet bubble is strong. We have a hard time like grabbing people's attention outside of Starknet. We do have certain projects like I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Blobberina, who is partnering with like the Armored MMA league in the States, which is a perfect example of like where real world projects intertwine with crypto projects. I think that's great. But yeah, as you said, it's very important to use different avenues to get other people's attention. And I think that's partly also why fully on-chain gaming is still a little bit in the backseat when it comes to engagement. Looking ahead a bit, what is your dream on-chain experience 5 years from now, if you could choose?
Okay, tough question. Honestly, I keep saying it, but like my favorite types of games are like smaller experiences, let's say. I do love PC games and the fact that you can, play like a game that you can finish in like 100 hours. Like I think that's like insane. And I'm very admirative of it because it's like an entire world that you
Yeah.
can just be in, which is wild. But I think in today's world and our lives, we need like these short spurts of like I think gaming needs to be more like yeah, like short bursts. I can't explain it another way. Everybody goes to TikTok, right? And why are they on TikTok? Because again, it's kind of like these mini moments of like escapism and
Yeah.
they like live outside of themselves and gaming for me is that, right? Um so yeah, I think just having more mobile games or more like kind of mini games on browser would be really sick. My favorite games growing up were, yeah, they were like mini clip games or DS games or games I would play like on the iPad. And they could be very, very different, right? They could range from like MMO to like puzzle games to like Pokemon where there's like a collecting element. I always want to feel like I've got a world in my phone, like that's or like in my small console. That's like my ideal type of game that I can always come back to and I can invest money and I can like grow it. I like that a lot. What I really love about NFTs and putting money into a game is I feel like it's not about making money, it's about I have a little world, and the more time and money and effort I put into it, the more it like grows and it
Mhm.
just becomes something that's mine.
Yep.
That's how I want to feel. Like that's why I'm not attracted to games like Candy Crush. Like I like games where like for example like virtual pets or like simulation
Yes.
games. Like I'm really into that because it just feels like homey. I don't know. Maybe that's just the girl in me. Like I don't feel like
Relate to that.
guys may have the same preferences. But I also really like competitivity. So yeah, a game that would mix all of that to me would be
Mhm.
huge. And I think the crypto aspect just makes it 10 times more interesting.
Yes.
Like game economies are just so interesting.
So you're a creator and a gamer. How do you see the creator economy evolving with on-chain games?
Um, I think creators will always be really important.
Mhm.
Uh, like to give you a good example, a game that I was really addicted to in 2023, I streamed it like nearly every day for a year, was Valorant. One of the main reasons I was so addicted, I'm pretty sure, is because I was seeing so much content about it.
Mhm.
Like it was the community layer, let's say, was like insanely strong. I don't know if you played it before, but for those who haven't, I'll just explain real quick. It's like 5v5 and there's different heroes or characters. So already the hero that like you tend to use
Mhm.
says a lot about you, and people have like stereotypes, right? About like, oh, Reinas behave like this, da 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 da. And so on TikTok, like the amount of content that emerges from a game like that is huge.
Mhm.
And on top of that, it's super competitive. So if you imagine like all the cool kids basically are playing this game and like being at a certain rank is like really cool or whatever. Especially if you're like, I'm like 25, but kids that are like 18 playing this game like are really obsessed, right? Because it becomes a whole status game.
Yeah.
And it's like creators need that. Like they need a game where it actually makes sense to create content, let's say. I think guides are really good, and that's one of the things in crypto gaming right now that's missing.
Yep.
But there's no game yet that's like full release that a creator can like fully attach their brand to. It's
Yep.
just not, we're just not there yet. So we're in a weird place where there's so many games to cover and we want to support everyone, but it's just not possible,
No.
right? So we have to pick and choose, or we go with games that actually offer us like ambassadorships, so it's like it's worth our time because we also need to pay our
Work.
bills. So it's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
think there are more and more creators emerging, which is amazing. But ultimately, I think it is very highly dependent on games, and it's like a push and pull kind of thing. Like we need both.
Yeah.
So right now you're seeing a lot of creators, including myself. Like I don't just cover gaming anymore because it's just not sustainable for me. Yeah. So now I kind of people know me as like I'm very into mobile games.
Hmm.
So like every time there's a mobile game, like people tend to reach out to me because I've been very vocal about that. But I would love, in the future for there to be one game that
Hmm.
I'm obsessed with that I just go super hard on. But
Yeah.
we're not there yet.
Not yet, but I think we're going in the right direction for that.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to shout out creators like Kagi. Um, Kagi is a very controversial personality, but he is an incredible creator because he actually has a YouTube
Mhm.
with like, I don't even know how many videos, and he's the only gaming creator in crypto that does that.
Yeah.
Like, I could do that and I don't. And it's like, he kind of just like, he has no excuses. Like, he actually just does it. And I do think that pushes the space forwards, and we need more people like that.
Shifting our focus to a more social aspect, which is gender representation in on-chain gaming. You've been vocal about the challenges of being a woman in crypto and gaming in general. What's the most frustrating part of growing as a female creator in this space?
I'll be honest, like I don't think it's been that bad. I
Mhm.
think in the traditional gaming world, it's probably harder, or like there's more.
Backlash and
Yeah, I feel like I just hear more like horror stories.
yes.
Um, in my case, I would just say probably people will like have this prejudice that just because I'm a girl and I like care about how I look or whatever, that I won't have a brain.
Yeah.
Like they'll assume that like I'm dumb, maybe.
Mm,
But like I'm not glazing myself, but they get disproven pretty quickly,
yeah.
and I think that kind of like really surprises people. And it's like, yeah, like women can look good and also like be smart.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think it's maybe like a misunderstanding of just women. But to be honest, like I really haven't had a hard time, I
Mm,
would say. I would even go as far as saying I don't want to credit gender, but being one of the only like early female creators has probably been an advantage because it was easier to stand out. I think the main motivation behind that as well is like there's so many female gamers or like there's so many just women in crypto, right? And it's and some are like really young, and I think of my sisters and I'm like I always try to be a good role model for them. So I think just being a good role model
mhm.
is really important,
Yeah.
even just like beyond gaming itself, just like as a person. And yeah, I care about that. So
Right.
that's part of my motivation to like being quite open about a lot of things. It's not like ego, it's very much like I just care about, yeah, like other women
Yeah.
and girls. Yeah.
Now, even though you said it hasn't been bad in this sense, are there any like support systems or communities that you've joined that like helped you navigate the space a bit?
Maybe people like don't know this. We have like a Telegram group that we've had for a couple years now, I think. We created it in the bear market, and it's basically gaming creators.
Okay.
And some people have come and gone because we purge inactives and stuff, but yeah, we've been each other's support system for like ages, right? Especially in these times where like gaming is down so bad. You do need, as a creator in general, no matter what niche you're in, you
Support.
need a support system because you're basically doing a job like where you're completely self-employed.
Yeah.
You need information about everything. Like you need to be able to vet teams. You need to know if someone's getting a better deal than someone else. Very
Mm,
important as a creator. You don't know if like you're basically getting taken advantage of or not. You need to refer your friends. There's a lot of things. You need to team up for like guild activations. So yeah, no, I have a very strong support system and I think it's absolutely vital. I would say that I'm genuinely super blessed to have these people in my life as well because I don't think everybody has that.
mhm,
But I've always put like a lot of effort into trying to find my people.
mhm,
And I'm always like creating group chats, like even outside of gaming, like always creating group chats, trying to get people together.
mhm.
Because yeah, I think it's everything. So yeah, definitely have had a strong support system. I have a lot of female friends, 100%, but also a lot of guy friends. I would say that like in gaming specifically, I have more guy friends actually.
Yeah.
And they're always looking out for me, always looking out for, just the women in our like group.
Mhm,
They're really cool. And if we say, this guy's weird or
mhm.
this happened, I don't feel comfortable with it, they like jump in and defend us, like they have our back.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, yeah, that's like something that is behind the scenes that I think people just
Yeah.
don't really see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. My last question for this segment is, do you have any advice for women who are thinking about getting into on-chain gaming or content creation in this industry?
Yeah, I would literally say like go for it. There's no better time, I think, than now.
Still
And
early.
I've been seeing more, yeah, like genuinely. And I've been seeing more and more women do it, and I feel so fucking proud. And I support them every time I can. Like I bring them deals, I'll uplift them, I'll like give them advice. Like it's really important to do that. I would describe myself like I as a nice person, but I'm also a bit of a shark like in the business world, like I'm quite like I know what I'm doing, let's
Yeah.
say. I've
Yeah.
just always had a knack for that.
Mhm.
Obviously some things I didn't know at the beginning,
But you,
like negotiation, I was too nice, let's say.
yeah.
Didn't know my worth, all of that, right? And then my guy friends who are very good at business, like they told me certain things and they were like, you need to do this, you need to like you'll learn. Like they at some point it was really hard. So they were like, you'll learn, like don't worry. Um and I've said this to a female creator recently, actually. I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you messed up like your first deal
Mhm.
negotiation, like the next one, like you'll know, you know? And then yeah, it happens very rapidly, but you do need to know how to take care of yourself because
For sure.
especially in like a business context and in this industry, we don't have managers. This is very unusual. Like in any other creator in any other industry who's like pretty big and getting like, a lot of deals, they have managers. Like they have people negotiating for them. They have people looking at the contracts. Like we do everything ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So yeah, the creators doing the best right now in terms of monetization and marketing themselves, like it's purely business skill.
Mhm.
And we're having to do both. And maybe that's actually why there's maybe less creative content because we have to put so much brain power into the business side of things that people don't see. So yeah, I would say definitely either find someone who can like kind of mentor you or like give you pointers
Mhm.
or try to learn more about the business side because at this point in crypto, you're gonna need that skill,
Yes, definitely.
not just creativity,
Yeah.
if you want to make a full-time living out of it.
Eliza, thank you so much for joining us. To the audience, please make sure to follow Eliza across all the socials. Her handle will be added to the description or the caption of wherever this video is posted. And if you want to keep up with everything gaming on Starknet, follow the SNG archive. And as always, thank you for listening to Chat Are We Cooked? And I will see you next time.